Today is build a dock and a pond dock day. So we're in the planning stages. I've hired an architect, very expensive, and they've made me these plans. I don't know why they put it on a disposable plate, but these plans are very detailed. So I'll go through these a little bit to give you an idea of what I'm gonna do, what I've done in the past, what's worked well, what hasn't. This is a bit of an experiment. I've never done a dock in shallow water that I plan on leaving in year round. This is fresh water. Fresh water freezes, and when freezing, if there's a heaving, there's moving, if there's any kind of movement at all, the ice just chews through everything. We even used steel docks, steel frame docks one year, and the ice just destroyed those too, like they were sticks, like this. Ice is just an incredibly powerful thing. So we want to do 16 feet out. Let's go over the basics for a typical, if that's not too bright. A typical dock, a basic dock, you'd have these, so this is the ground, let's say this is the water line. You'd have this kind of an H frame. It could be 4x4, it could be 6x6, it could be anything. 2x4s even, some people use 2x4s to go up and down into the water. And then you'd have a bolted 2x4 or 2x6 going across. And then you'd have 2x4s or whatever you want to do for cross bracing, and this would all be bolted. Don't use screws. The first year you put it in, and then you have to take it out, you realize, well, screws were a waste of time because they just leave holes that you don't want to reuse the next year. But bolts, you can, and it's much, much stronger. Anyway, so this is your traditional H-frame, and on top, this is where the dock would go. Standard marina in this area would be 3 feet wide, so it's a 3 foot wide. It's like a sidewalk. So you'd have basically a sidewalk going out, and the sides would be 2x8s, and the topping could be a 2x6, 2x8, 2x, whatever you've got around for the topping, and it would look something like this. The plus of having this kind of bracing with a dock going across the middle, so you'd have at least two of these H-frames for a 12-foot or 16-foot dock, at least two. 16 feet, I want 3. The benefit of this is that it's removable in the winter. It's height adjustable, so if you have to put different bolt holes here or there, you can have 2 or 3 different bolt holes that you can reuse again and again. Again, much stronger than screws. You can put this on solid ground, so if this was rock, you just put this on top. If it's not rock, you can pound these in. Each year, you can pound them into the ground. Usually people use a jet, so you get a jet water pump, and it just pumps water underneath the posts, and it just pushes the sand, or it pushes whatever soft substrate there, it just pushes it away. So that's great. So it's versatile in that sense. And also, because the dock goes about here, you have these posts sticking up, and if you have a boat, you want to touch something when you're coming into shore. You want to grab something, so the railing, but you also want to, of course, moor it each night. The top of the dock frame would typically, again, 3 feet, whatever length you want, and for 3 feet, you want at least 3 center floor joists. Just obviously for stability. You don't want it to be too movie. Is that a word? Movie? Oh, movie. No, you don't want it to be too flexible. Again, 2x8, 2x10, whatever you want, any length you want. I think the maximum, it gets pretty expensive. You'd have to get custom lumber to go past 16 feet, but I'm sure you can get that milled somewhere if you wanted it. Most people do sections that are small, so you'd have a deck section of, say, 10 feet long, and then you'd have 2 of them, because they're taking them in and out every year. They get quite heavy. Again, I'm doing 16 feet in one stretch because I'm going to leave it in as an experiment. So this is what the top of the dock would look like. When you've got it done, you can see all these little tiny screw holes on top, 2x6s or 2x8s across the top, and then your posts. Okay, fine, no big deal. This is pretty straightforward. The experimental dock, which I want to do, gets rid of all the exterior posts, and it makes it a nicer finished deck, a nicer finished top. I want to do composite. Of course, everybody wants to do composite on top because it's so nice, but I wasn't going to spend $1,000 on, I couldn't afford that. It's too much, it's crazy. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2x8 by 16 feet. So each one of these is going to be 2x8. There's actually going to be not just 2, there's actually going to be 3, 4, and 5. This is 6 feet wide, so there's going to be 5 of these runs. Nice and solid. The reason I need 2 here that I didn't draw in, but if I had the second one here, is that I'm going to do a portrait frame on top. So it looks just like a picture portrait. It's got a nice 45 cuts on all the corners. You'll see. It'll make sense when we get there. And the reason for doing that is that I don't like these sharp edges. So these docks have sharp edges along the side because it's just flush cut. These are all just cut and screwed down. I want the rounded edge. So when I'm sitting or the kids are sitting with their legs over the side, I mean, you could always sand this, but you'd be there sanding for so long and it would compromise the integrity of the wood that would be pretty close to where the screw nails would go in. Anyway, I had to do this portrait. Means more framing, so that's not a big deal, but it is more money. And then I'm gonna have the traditional, just like this, I'm gonna have decking, but it's gonna be like a nice finished decking with hidden screw fasteners. No big deal. I'm gonna use the camo system. You'll see that when we get to it. So, but instead of the H-frame with the cross, because I'm so low, the water's not that deep, I think I can get away with cement pads, because this is a soft ground, but I'm going to get big cement blocks. I was going to build them myself, but by the time I factored in the cost of getting the cement, bringing it out here, we're a 5-minute, 10-minute walk from our resources, and we're off grid, of course. I figured just buy these blocks, put in the 4x4s, put the 4x4s on the inside holding up. Each of the 4x4s coming up is going to have a cross joist underneath. With this system, you have to bring the joist out. The dock fits on the inside. With this system, the dock is just going to fit straight on top. So it covers up the posts. I'm not going to have posts. It covers up all of that and you just see dock. I'm going to have one post coming up. This is the really fancy drawing. So this will be the top of the dock. This will be the ramp coming onto the dock. I'm gonna have one post coming up here for a Wi-Fi security camera on a solar panel. It takes nice footage of the animals and the critters running around and all that fun stuff. The pro and the con of this. Pro is that I can remove it if I need to. I have a tractor, I can pull it up on shore. I would have to pop the dock out of these concrete posts because I would probably snap the legs if I tried to just pull it up, and they're gonna sink into the sand a fair bit. Pro is there's no cross bracing. I'm hoping again that it won't be too, my fun word now is movie. It won't be too movie, won't be too squishy. We'll see, I may have to put cross bracing in, no big deal. This only works again in shallow, but it's a flush, clean look with the nice rounded edges. That's the hope. It'll be solid.